we'll do is we'll just start on our wide camera.
Wide camera, yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Northland Artist Conversation. I am your host, Mark Kelly, and this is our actual guest, Vince Cocurullo. His current role in Whangarei is he's the mayor. So
I am indeed.
Yeah, and an IT guy. So this is going to be something a little bit different. This is the intro to your podcast.
Right, excellent.
Now,
so where I get to talk about myself.
You do now.
So unusual for a politician.
Yeah, exactly. Self-aggrandizing, perish the thought. You know, normally when we do these, we sort of talk about what's been going on and what's been happening. But I'm going to actually throw it to you. In Whangarei, for, start of the year to now, whenever, what's been going on for you that you sort of feel is important?
Look, I think the biggest thing about most things in Whangarei is we've had a bit of a time with the weather.
Yeah, it's been really average. Really average.
And probably the biggest thing from my side of things is having no state highway.
Yeah, Brynderwins.
That's right. And having it shut so many times, that has been hard for a majority of our community, mainly because they're travelling between here and Auckland.
Yeah.
Now, you'll be surprised how many people actually travel between here and Auckland, especially those who've got to go for medical treatments.
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought of that.
No. And everyone forgets about them. And yet these are people who have got to travel there virtually every day.
Yep.
Go down there for treatment of some sort, go down there for surgery, and it's the roads that they've got to go on.
So what do you think are some of the positives that we've had out of this year then?
I had the same question with the CE at council earlier.
Okay.
He said, what are the positives? I said, the isolation. I said, one of the great things about Whangarei and Northland is we are extremely self-resilient. Resilient?
Yep.
We actually look after ourselves really well.
We do.
And we have to be, honestly, that's something we should be very, very proud of. When we see someone who's having a problem, we generally are there trying to help.
Yeah. I mean, you've lived here your whole life. I've lived here for 7.5 years. Originally, I'm from Gisborne.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The one thing I've noticed is that Whangarei, Northland as a whole is like a bigger version of Gisborne, and a lot closer to cooler places.
Absolutely. The beaches are wonderful.
Beaches are unbelievable. And the reason I was so happy to move here is because it did remind me of where I grew up, and it's a lovely place that's filled with really just nice people. And it's one of those things where you're like, where you can often say, "Oh, that's nice," and you don't really mean it. But I genuinely mean there are so many people here in the 7.5 years that I've been here that are very, very cool people.
Look, we have talent galore here.
Yeah.
Honestly, we do. We've got people who are absolutely wonderful. So when I say isolation, being isolated away from Auckland sometimes is a good thing.
Yeah, sometimes
it's a little hard.
Sometimes challenging.
Yeah, so isolation is a good and a bad thing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. But who wouldn't live in Northland? Honestly,
no. I don't know.
We can produce our own food.
Yep.
Yes, work might be a bit of an issue at times, but I tell you right now, we need a lot of people on the roads fixing them.
Yeah, we do, definitely. And there is an abundance of jobs available at the moment, which is a great thing.
And if you wanted to get into creative stuff, of course, there's a lot of creative opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Creative Northland for doing the amazing work that they do, because they actually helped get this podcast sort of off the ground in the infant stages. So,
Olivia and the team.
Yeah, amazing. Tell you what, let's get into this. Oh, sorry. This is the confusing part, because I'm going to go to my camera and I've got a little particular thing that I like to say, so just bear with me. So, this will be interesting. I've never done this with the actual person here. Vince, let's sit down and have a conversation with Vince Cocurullo. Should I start this off formally, informally? You know what? I'll start it off with all of them.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. His Worship the Mayor Vince Cocurullo, also known as the IT guy, and benefactor of all things artistic and creative throughout Northland. Welcome!
Awesome!
To the Northland Artist Conversation. Thank you very much. It's one of those funny things. I know we discussed it beforehand, but I was like, you want to give the position some weight and gravitas. You are the bear. You are the mayor-elect.
I am, yes.
We don't want to have a Ben Bell situation. I
am the mayor. That is one of those things.
And here we are. Look, I really appreciate you coming on, because I know that when we originally were considering guests, you were kind of someone that was early on the list of people that we really wanted to get, because you are a person that's quite you're quite active and you're quite seen in the arts community.
Usually quite flamboyant. At the moment, I'm not. But usually I am.
Yeah. And I've met you a few times through Plunge, through Aru, and I've definitely seen you around town. You've got the bright vests on, which are cool. Obviously, today is a bit of an exception, but it was a special day.
That's right. It was.
Very special day. So when we were trying to get you on board, you were still councillor at that point. And then you happened to win an election. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So yeah, it felt like, well, let's give it some. Yeah, we'll have an informal conversation, but let's give it a bit of weight and gravitas, because it is. I mean, it's not like it's not like Joe Blogs down the road.
Well, it could be, but no, it's not at the moment.
It's not at the moment. Next term, maybe. Now, normally, for people that are watching, I have my sheet of paper that I always have, and we always get everyone to fill it out as much as possible. But it
was a very hard questionnaire. I have to put out, it was one of the hardest ones, trying to explain your artist tendencies. That's not something I can do.
A challenging form, indeed, with 4 sections that will trip up anyone. But what I liked is that when we were sort of going through and working it out, I had heard that you were a big steampunk person.
I am.
And steampunk is kind of one of those very... describe steampunk for those people that don't know.
Look,
because I think it's fascinating. I've only seen it from in movies and TV shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, Wild Wild West is probably the best steampunk type style that you've got.
Right. Okay.
It's very much for guys. It's vests and pants, and it's old style 1800s type style of clothing.
H.G. Wells type stuff?
H.G. Wells, that sort of style. Yep. And then you add the steam into it. So it's the idea that technology's all gone.
Yeah.
And we've had to revert back to steam engines and steam-powered things. There's
pistons and pulleys and
there's
stuff like
lots
that.
of cogs and wheels and things like that. So it's all part of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's all about steampunk. Now, for the ladies, my goodness, some of the ladies dress up like anything, and we're talking about big hoop skirts.
Yeah.
And then they add, instead of laser guns, they'll have guns which have got wheels and stuff on them as well. So
wow.
It's really quite fascinating. And a lot of the guys, you might have guys who are aviators.
Right, yeah.
So they have the aviator goggles and all the rest. And then they'll do that with a top hat.
Oh, what?
Exactly. So you have a top hat with aviator glasses.
Okay. That's not something I would pick putting together, but that's very cool.
And it's all very much bling bling, gold and silver and that sort of stuff. So it's all very much out there. As I said, it's a different style. I love it. I love seeing the guys dress up like this.
Yeah.
Kraken's Lair is a prime example of it, of a group of community which actually do that.
What was the name?
Kraken's Lair.
Kraken's Lair, as in the Kraken.
Correct.
Unleash the Kraken.
That's great.
Wow. Okay. Kraken's Lair. We'll just Kraken's Lair something. Yeah. That'd be good. I indicate to the guys and they find something and just put it up in there.
Excellent.
Kraken's Lair, guys. Let's
something
do that.
like that. But the guys are absolutely brilliant. The steampunk guys in Whangarei are really awesome. They usually meet on a Tuesday evening. They usually meet down at Dickens Inn and they have a dinner or something like that together. It's really awesome.
Okay. I
don't get a chance to do a lot of that now.
No, not anymore. Did you though?
Well, I used to tag along, but again, because I was a counsellor,
Yeah.
I couldn't, I dress up as like I can do.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty much most of the time like this anyway, with a vest and things like that. But it'd be
Yeah.
always be out there with a little vest and, yeah.
But you can't exactly walk into a counsellor meeting with like this full get up and top hat.
You can't do that, no.
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 I mean, you could, but you can't. There's a image and look you have to
Probably
maintain.
shouldn't.
Okay, wow, Kraken's Lair. Every Tuesday, Dickens in.
Well, that's when it was. They may have changed things now.
Okay.
So, that was last year, so things may have changed.
Right, okay. Facebook page?
They have got a Facebook page, yes.
Kraken's Lair, Whangarei. Have a look, check it out. Very, very cool. I will find out and I'll actually go down and have a look myself.
Let's just make sure I've got all the details right, of course. I could have it completely wrong by now.
It could have all changed.
That's right.
A lot's happened in 6 months.
A lot has happened in 6 months. Look how much weather we've had.
I know. Summer this year.
Summer? What was that?
What is summer? Summer is a friend of mine's daughter's name. Anyway. What I want to do is you don't identify as being a creative person, which is where we had a lot of the issues with filling out the forms.
Yep.
So, but it's interesting because in some ways you do, and steampunk being one of them.
Yep.
But what I want to do is I want to go right back.
Yep.
I mean, way back.
Yep, sweet. Excellent.
Excellent. Now it's interesting because you've put on your form. You're born and bred Whangarei, right?
100%.
Through and through.
I'm a Raumanga... what do you call me? Raumanga resident? Raumanga.
Yeah.
I still live.
Raumanga represent. I believe is what the young people say nowadays.
I still live in the same house my grandfather built.
What?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. So I'm 100% a Whangarei person.
Oh, okay. That's, I think, producer Rocky is a producer. Andrew Whangarei through and through. He is, isn't he? He is. I'm getting the nod from editor Rocky there. Wow, that's cool. Now, you have said that your mum had some artistic flair as well.
My mother, my grandmother, they all had that artistic flair. They were painters, they were dressmakers. My mother was a dressmaker, so and back in the day, we used to have the Bernina sewing factory here in Whangarei.
Did we?
Yep.
Where?
It was down Lower Dent Street. So
okay.
So she used to sew down there. She also used to be at Faber's Furnishing and do sales there at the same time.
I know Faber's.
At the same time, she would also be doing dressmaking and things like that. Do be well aware at that time, that's what you had to do.
Yeah.
It was make your own clothes rather than buy them off the shelf because they were expensive.
They were, or you'd buy the patterns.
That's it. So I have because my mother's passed away, but I have boxes, and I mean boxes of patterns.
Wow.
And not only that, but my mother was a painter. She was, she did ceramics and macrame and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So she loved art. And one of the big things is growing up, she would go to these art classes, and I'd be doing the cartooning in there while she's doing all of the, all the fancy stuff.
So you'd be drawing cartoons,
Yeah,
or
just drawing
or
cartoons.
You'd be mucking around.
Well, pencil and pen. That's genuinely my form of media.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So while she does all the painting and all that sort of stuff, that's what I'd do. It's not a problem.
No, it's still creative.
It's creative, but as you know, all artists, good artwork takes time.
It does.
Yeah, it doesn't with my industry.
No, possibly not so much.
I really don't have the time nowadays, or back then, because it was all about civil engineering when I left school. So
Right.
straight into civil engineering, doing drafting and all that sort of stuff. Again, sort of artistic, but not really.
Were you like an architectural draftsperson?
Yeah, it's a way of putting it. That's how I started.
Right, okay, yep.
Yeah, and then you go into all the other fields of engineering, like doing design work, working in the soil lab, all that sort of stuff as well.
When you were at school, were you naturally a creative person?
Now, by creative, do you mean the way a lot of creative people are with quite melancholy?
No.
No? Okay, because I'm not.
You are melancholy, sir. You are definitely not.
No, most I would mix with a lot of the artist people. Like I did art in high school. I did things like that.
Yeah.
But again, no, I'm not I would never classify myself as an artist, but I would mix with a lot of the creative type people.
Okay.
A little bit out there like myself, so it's okay.
Yeah. Well, because it would certainly make a lot of sense. And, with your mum having done sewing and things like that you would, find steampunk.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So you're in school. Are you like an academic?
Yeah.
Or are you sort of like academic but sporty, a little bit creative?
I would never call myself sporty.
Okay.
Academic, I think the term back then was called nerd.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So full-fledged nerd. Now you would have, we won't talk about your age, because if we do, then we have to talk about mine. And I just had a birthday not long ago. Yay! So you would have been at school when they had like A and B bursary and UE and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I started high school when they had Commodore 64s.
So for those of you that don't know, Commodore 64 used to have these things called floppy disks.
They did. And disk drives.
And if you wanted to play a game, you'd often have to put in one floppy disk, and then if it was the old actual floppies,
right.
You'd have to turn them over. And then you might have to put another one in, because I remember playing Where in the World Is Carmen in San Diego and having to go,
yes, I remember that one.
Damn it, flip that over. Oh, I put in disc 2. Shit, okay.
Now, you need to remind everyone that the floppy disks weren't the 3.5s that everyone was used to. They were 5 1/4s.
5 1/4. So I think what a lot of people slightly younger than myself will know as a floppy disk is hard, and you can tap it and it's a very plastic sound. But the ones you're talking about, you could actually bend them because they had like a magnetic ring inside them, or like a tape ring or something.
Yeah, I call it like a record.
Yeah.
So it's just a very, very thin record.
And flexi record.
Extremely flexible.
And that was your era, is that
right? That was
right?
my era.
Right.
So Commodore Plus 4, Commodore 64, that was about the same time I started in high school.
And you sort of went down, because you're IT, you're the IT guy.
I'm the IT guy, yeah, I'm the fix-it man, yeah.
Yeah, Vince the IT guy. Is that where your interest for computers started?
It actually started before that. So my father passed away when I was about 9 years old.
Oh.
So before that, one of the things, my father was a motorcycle mechanic and had a motorcycle shop around town.
Yep.
So motorcycles was loads of things. I really don't like motorcycles.
Neither do I.
I like 4 wheels.
Same. I like as many wheels to be on the road as possible.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But when we're dealing with the me growing up, he provided us with a computer. Okay. So it was
that's quite revolutionary.
Well, it was a Sega Master 2000, which was actually before you had the Sega PlayStations.
We had the Sega Master System,
which was actually, you had a keyboard, you had all sorts of stuff. So very similar to the 64s.
Wow.
Commodore 64. So all that sort of stuff was actually all that era, and I used to write software for that. So So me and my brother used to write software.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Can you remember one of the bits of software you wrote?
Look, you know when you used to get magazines? Well, back in the day, you used to get these things called magazines, and inside the magazines, they used to have a lot of software programs that you could trial, and they were games.
Right.
So, and then they would tell you, okay, if you modified this here, then you would have this happening. So a lot of the time we'd write the software, and of course you'd have to use the tape deck to save it onto the tape.
You would.
To get it to work.
I remember those.
And it was all about that sort of process. So it was back in the era.
So you were coding before coding was a thing.
Yeah, you could put it like that, but it was more like DOS, like real basic stuff.
And I think ones and zeros.
I think it was all called basic at the time. Actually,
I remember basic. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're in high school. You've had a few years with a computer.
Yep.
You've started sort of moving into that nerd zone, into that clique of people.
Fine, yeah.
It's fine. But you were also part of the artistic community as well, because you hung out with those people.
Yep.
Question for you: why did you elect to go down the civil engineering path as opposed to the artistic path?
Look, there's a lot of I would see because I dealt with a lot of artistic people.
Yeah.
You know, you see their talent. You know they're talented. You sort of like go, well, there's no point me competing against them. They're actually really good. Let's just get behind them and back them. So that's basically what I would do. I would promote a lot of those people, and because I know they've got skills, so I sort of like, no, you use your skill. You know, going to high school, I found that the easiest way, I'd make my lunch and I'd sell it to the students.
Sorry. Would you ever repeat of that, please? I just want to make sure I heard that right. You'd make your lunch...
And then sell it.
That's
right.
So, okay.
So dealing with the artistic people, it was all part of it, you know, because they don't eat very well. Generally, artist people are terrible at eaters, and they're really bad at that sort of stuff. So selling your lunch to them is fine, not a problem.
Capitalism. Making a buck.
Looking after people at the same time.
So, obviously discovering at quite a young age that you were an entrepreneur.
But why I went down to civil engineering was more.
Yeah.
It was more about the drafting at the time. So
Okay.
it was the tech drawing back in the day. You know,
I love
pens-
tech drawing, man.
Most of us did.
That was so cool. You'd have your thing on the side. You'd put
That's
your
it.
your
That's
your
it.
set squares on there. You'd
That's it.
lower them and just draw everything. Oh, I love that so much.
So I used to get high marks in tech drawing and maths and science and that sort of thing. So I just flicked across to doing engineering. It wasn't a major. You know, I went straight into an engineering firm straight after high school.
So no external study or anything like that.
No, straight into a engineering.
Wow.
Because they saw my drafting skills. They wanted to take that and enhance that.
Yep.
And when I started working for them, I then started studying civil engineering. So I'd be going to Auckland or going to Wellington to study at the same time as working.
Oh wow.
So it's all
you'd have like a full-time job and do the commute as well.
absolutely.
Whee.
And then I went to another firm, and they wanted to expand my skills further. And they were starting to do CAD drafting.
Okay.
So I had the skill of the hand drafting.
Yes.
And then converting that to the CAD drafting for others.
Which is in computers, right?
Which is in computers.
Yeah.
And again, because of my computer knowledge and things like that,
Yeah.
you know, we'd have nights where we'd have 20-odd guys in there, and they'd all be playing Doom. Remember the game Doom?
I love Doom.
And, you know, we'd...
Oh God, I had many a. Oh wait, I'm going to show my age here for a second. I attended many a LAN party playing Doom. Yes, that's right, Editor Rocky. It's two old guys reminiscing on some old shit. You'd literally take your PC box round to your mate's place with your screen, and you'd jack up everything into a switch. And you'd sit there trying to snipe each other all night.
That's it.
None of this online business. It'd be like some kids' parents were away for a weekend, and instead of having like the raging piss up, it would be, let's have a LAN party.
Yep, and it's great fun. It's great.
Hilarious.
It's great entertainment.
You just have snacks and Coke.
No, it was more basically pizzas. And, look, I try to get people eating properly.
No, it was snacks and Coke for my LAN crew. 'Cause we were poor. None of us worked a lot.
Oh, when we used to have LAN parties at my place, it was. I used to provide all the food.
Oh, lovely.
So make sure they get fed properly.
Yeah. It's amazing. Surprised you didn't try and sell it to them.
No, I didn't do that. No.
Guys, I bought these pizzas. It's $1 a slice.
No, not like that this time.
Oh dear. Okay, so you head into the it's quite a formal world, isn't it? And it's a lot of structure and discipline, and you very much move away from the free form.
Yep.
But I get the sense that you have always kind of been the background person of the arts, that background supporter. When you're going through, because if you're working full time and you're doing all the study, do you have that time to give to the arts, or are you just like, I'm going to put this on hold for a bit?
No. So a lot of the time I spend, if I do spend time with them, it's usually in the background. So
right.
As you'll see later on in my life, I helped out with the Bernina Fashion Awards, and I used to run that. We helped run that for 11 years. And to get it up to a point where it was so the Bernina shop could take over.
Yeah, wow.
So it was all about trying to get the industry, the art industry, but more the fashion industry
right
out there. So being behind the scenes, running it, organising it, I'd grab other people involved so they'd be great organisers with it as well.
Yeah.
Again, it was to get young people actually showing their skills.
Yes, definitely. And I think that's one thing that's really good with, as, because I've been an artist since I did my first. I did my first recorded song when I was like 6,
Ooh.
and then I did my first filmed play part when I was like 9. But so I've been doing it for a little while. But there comes a point where people like myself, they either choose to carry on with it or they take a step back and they go, I want to give.
Yep.
But it sounds like you were always in that giving space.
Absolutely.
As a supporter.
Yeah, well, having the time to actually do the art is a different story.
Yeah.
And that's why when you see the people out there with talent, just like the Sistema, they just had a concert, 10-year celebration this weekend. This Sistema is a whole pile of young people. They get started on an instrument. They're not able to play any chord. By the end of it, they're actually playing in a full orchestra.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's what Sistema is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's all run out of the old town hall. So actually, no, old library.
Now, that's the beautiful brick library. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, it's gorgeous. Great acoustics in there.
Yeah. So this is just sort of some of the things. I'm happy to stand behind the scenes because I want to see these kids excel. And whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's fashion, I don't care.
Yeah. As long as it's anything creative.
As long as it's creative and using your skills.
Yep. For good.
Well, yes.
Not for evil.
Yeah. Graffiti, don't like.
We've had a not graffiti artist. We've had a street artist, haven't we?
Yeah. Street artist is different to graffiti.
Different from bombing.
Yeah. Well, just putting your signature up there is not actually useful.
No. Oh my God, no, definitely not. We all have to start somewhere, but I think there's a right weird place to start as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you did you get a degree in engineering?
I did an NZCE, which is basically it's called a New Zealand Certificate in Engineering.
Okay, right.
Right. So it's effectively what today would be the degree.
Right.
So I went through, because I was working and studying at the same time.
Yeah.
Rather than going straight to university and doing 3 years in university, I did 6 years.
Oh, okay. So you studied part-time, work full-time.
Yeah.
Right.
So the NZCE, even though it's the same thing as a degree, it's, that's the way I did it. And,
wow.
It's the way I could do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it certainly makes a lot of sense because, we've had some guests that have gone off and studied and have talked about how hard it is to study full time, and some of them didn't even work part time, but having the luxury to be able to do it the other way around, have a decent living standard, but also study at the same time.
So a lot of the study organisations are now changed, so you can do a degree now remotely the way I did it.
Right.
But back then, no, you couldn't.
Yeah.
You was either at university the whole time frame. This is what it was.
Yeah. Which is tough.
Yeah.
Which is tough. I couldn't imagine anyone trying to do that nowadays.
A little different.
Yeah, because we're all Zoom meetings now.
Of course we are.
Yeah. On today's course, turn your camera on. Thank you.
Can you just press the space bar? You're on mute again. You want to talk to me?
Mute. Yeah, that's it. Okay, yep. Thanks, David. No, that's good. That was a dumb question, but we'll move on. How long did you do your civil engineering for?
Well, for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So when it came to 1990 to 2000, I said, right, I'm just going to go into the IT world.
Okay. Why? Because the reason I say a very simple question is because you're in civil engineering.
Yep.
You've graduated.
Yep.
You're on a good wicket.
Yep.
And then you essentially go, fuck it, and then go right back to computers.
So what I found was in the IT industry at that time,
Yeah.
if you ever remember that era,
Oh, very well.
there's a lot of people out there who they couldn't communicate.
Yes.
So you have some very skilled IT people,
Yep.
but communication was not one of their fortes.
No, because they were probably on the spectrum.
They could have been, but it was just let me take your computer, I'll fix it. Whereas what I was doing was the reverse. So I started my business to basically tell people or show people how they can fix it themselves.
Right. Okay.
And I know that's what a lot of the IT guys do now.
Yes,
but
they do now.
that's not what they did then.
No, they did not. No, and a lot of us had that IT friend.
Yes.
and you'd be like, so, hey, my PC stopped working. Yeah, sure. It's working now. Thanks. Because if you got them started to do it, they're like, so what I did is I took the
took the RAM out of there and checked the hard drive in there.
Reconfigured it, and it's just like, I had your modem, your dial-up modem settings were incorrect.
Oh my goodness, those dial-up modems. We all not all remember those things.
Man, they were glorious. I remember when broadband came out, I was a very early adopter of that. I was like, this is going to be the best thing ever. No buffering.
Still had it, but that's okay.
Well, I lived in Gisborne at the time, and it was just, dial-up was a nightmare. So when I got that beautiful little D-Link modem that came from Vodafone, it was just like, that's glorious.
Yeah, at that stage, I think a lot of us were having our own separate phone lines just so that we could have internet and everyone else could use a normal landline.
Yeah.
Because remember, cell phones weren't really a big thing then.
No, not at all.
And I had one of those brick cell phones.
Oh, amazing.
So as the 3 years, my phones got smaller and then got larger.
Yeah. Northland Artists Conversation is proud to support 116. 116 are located on Bank Street in Whangarei, and an amazing venue that you can actually hire. If you're looking to hold an event or looking to hire a venue for a special occasion, 116 on Bank Street are an absolutely fantastic place. You can simply contact them via email off their website or through Facebook as well. 116 have had such amazing events in the past as the Whangarei Fringe Festival, and they've also held the Plunge Pop Culture Convention there as well. They also have local artists that also put performances on, as well as incoming artists that come into the region as well and want to be able to do things like have plays or perform music or any of those sorts of cool things. 116 are also home to the amazing Beagle radio station as well, which is a local initiative that is all set up with some very, very talented people that actually love what they do, and they do it all for free. So it's very, very cool. So 116 on Bank Street, proudly supported by the Northland Artists Conversation. Your first cell phone, was it one of those? Was it the brick, or was it the one that you needed? Was like a briefcase?
No, it was a brick.
Okay,
so it was the brick one with the big pointy aerial. Yeah.
Oh my god, I love those. That was the time around of Wall Street.
Yep.
Gordon Gekko Greed is good.
The only thing you got to worry about is the radiation used to come off them.
Oh, what now? Sorry. My dad had one. Okay, then. So, having transitioned from civil engineering back over to IT, and it's not like you're trying to... You found your niche in the market.
Yeah.
And that wasn't... Some people are going to say dumbing things down, but it's not. What you're doing is you're making something that's complex... accessible.
That's it.
And for the every person.
The every person.
Can't say man nowadays. For the every person. Now you did that 2000.
Yep.
And it's now 2023.
That's correct.
Thank you.
You're good at adding here.
That was 23 years ago. With the change in your life that happened late last year, do you still find that you can run your IT business the way that you did?
It's a great question there. You know, I still get phone calls from people saying, I know you're busy.
Yeah.
Do you have time just to... What's the problem? Just what are we dealing with?
Yeah.
Look, I will really try to help as many people as I can. Again, I'm just one of many IT people out there. Remember, when I started, there was very few.
Yep.
Now there's loads of them, and I don't mind anyone using anybody. They're quite happy to do it. I'm there just to help.
Yep.
So a lot of times, people want to know how to buy something, or what should we buy? All right. I'll tell them what they should buy, what's best in the market, what sort of price range they'll be looking at. Then it's up to them to go shopping.
Would you say you're more so? Obviously, running your own business, there's the knowledge side of things, and there's also the networking side and the sales side. Would you say you're more of a facilitator?
Absolutely.
Right.
I still do a lot of the IT stuff.
Yep.
A lot of, tonight I had a guy ring me up and says, I can't get my modem working. I went up there. Oh, yeah, sweet as. He'd plugged it into the LAN port instead of the WAN port.
Right, okay, yep.
Easy fix.
Super easy fix.
Yeah. Thank you. Catch you later. I'm out the door.
Yep. Yeah, nice.
And it was
Here's
like...
my bill. No.
it was sort of like, as soon as he saw it, he goes, oh, I thought about that. I said, oh, no, it's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all good. It happens, right? Sometimes it's just that confidence.
It's it.
Yeah, people look at it and go, but it looks right. Well, it's close.
It's close. It was very close.
Very close.
It was very close.
So with you having moved away from civil engineering, which I imagine is a very time-consuming role.
Look, I was doing everything from designing roads to going through to designing
roads.
Oh yeah, designing roads.
Wow.
Yeah, so some of the roundabouts around Whangarei I designed.
Oh wow.
And supervised the construction of.
Yeah. That's
so
cool.
I was involved with a lot of that sort of stuff as well.
That's very cool.
Right the way through to doing sewer designs and sewer pipes and how to get pipes through from one high point to this low point to make sure it doesn't hit any other pipes on the way through.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because I don't know if any one of your listeners has ever dealt with construction plans that come from council.
Some of us would have.
They're not always perfect.
No.
So a pipe...
Stop it.
A pipe may not be in the location that it says it is on the plan.
Don't say that something from council isn't perfect.
It's not just from council. It's also
from everywhere.
Spark, Telecom.
Yeah. It's all these places. It's like, well, it's roughly roundabout. He'll just mark it on a map.
That's it.
It's close enough. It's terrible.
But it's one of those things. So, yeah, I would be doing a lot of that sort of stuff.
When you moved from civil engineering to IT, did you find that you had more free time?
Yes. Yes, I did.
And is that when you started sort of getting back into being a supporter, a back-end person of the arts?
Very much so. Right. Helping out, we had the creation of Channel North.
Oh, right. Yep.
So
okay.
I was at the infancy stages of that, and getting Channel North up and running. Again, it was about trying to get young people into a form of art, which was videography.
Yep.
Which is great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's again, it was just trying to get people into it. So I don't know if you knew that Channel North actually originally started at Manaia View School.
No, it's before my time.
In Raumanga.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I only know them from the Orchard.
That's right. So pre that, they were working at Manaia View School, and again, getting a lot of the students, the young kids, actually making their own videos, learning how to do that sort of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Doing editing. Kids doing editing. It was brilliant.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, far out. What are some of the other things that you've helped gotten up and running? Because you've done that. You've also done the Bernina Fashion Awards.
Yep. One of the things I got involved with, I also got involved with Rotary.
Oh, yep.
So Rotary had a photography competition and things like that. So I've helped out with that as well. Again, getting young people into that sort of thing. So it's all about getting young people to realise that they've got creative skills and actually trying to enhance it.
Nurturing it,
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. If you said something earlier, and I'm just gonna flick back for a second.
Yeah.
You said something earlier about when you were at high school, you noticed a whole lot of people that were, in your opinion, more creative than you.
Yep.
So that's why you that's why you decided to let them do their thing, and you'd go off and be the supporter, back-end person, study something else.
Yep.
Do you feel that maybe if you'd have gone the other way, that you actually might have become more of a creative person if you'd given yourself the discipline and chance? I know it's a huge hypothetical.
Yeah, look, I hear you, and I've thought about that myself, yet I also understand the situation I was in.
Right, okay.
So my mother... basically, me growing up by myself, my brother and sister left home, so it was me living by myself.
Yep.
Growing up by myself, I realised that I had to create an income. Art wasn't going to do that, so it was about trying to put things in place so that I could actually have an education, so I could have work, so I could have money, so I could have food on the table. So it was all about that sort of thing.
Right.
Even though the fact I still lived in my grandfather's house, I still had to pay for stuff, power, telephone, computers, those sort of things.
Those things aren't cheap. Fun, but not cheap. Okay, so it was really out of circumstance that you had to kind of make that change as
Absolutely.
well. Wow.
And again, when you see creative people out there, they're talented. They really are. And I don't hold them back. I actually, if anything, would love to see more people becoming more talented.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think with lockdown, the big one,
Yes.
the big one, I think the one that hit the whole country and just out of nowhere, we've had quite a few artists come on and talk about how hard that was.
Yep.
Because they were one-way inclined lockdown forced the whole world to change how we did things. And then we've seen things come out the other side which have been light years ahead of where those artists thought they would be.
Yep.
So it's been, again, it's almost a circumstance change.
It's like me, again, living on my grandfather's property, having to buy it and all that sort of stuff. But the same thing, I grow vegetables and fruit. There's a lot of fruit.
Damn it. That's the last line on your bio. I was hoping we'd get to that one just a little bit later, but let's talk about that fruit there, Vince, because it says grows own fruit enough to share with WTC staff in brackets. That's what is it EA or PA?
That's what my EA wrote, yep.
It's actually on there. That's so hilarious. It's apparently something that's important to your growing up and background and schooling.
Honestly, they love it. They really do. Because I've got 100 meters of grapevines. I've got 10 Feijoa trees. So
wow.
So the grapevines, when they fruit, I got too much.
Yep.
And during lockdown, sure, I attempted to make wine.
I was just about to ask you, did you? How did you go?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Have you still got some?
Yes.
Excellent.
I would not say it's by any means
Not purchasable.
but it's great for cooking with.
It's a quality cooking wine.
That's it.
Oh, does it have a brand? Did you give it a name?
No.
Oh.
No. This is just for fun.
Okay.
I had some white diamond grapes. Now, if you've ever known anything about white diamond's the grapevine which is out at the old Village farm just south of Whangarei.
Yep.
And the grapes, when they bottled it, when they made their wine, that was as sweet as anything.
That's beautiful.
And it's like drinking grape juice.
Yep.
And then you stand up.
Yeah, and fall over.
So, I've got grapevines of that, so I was making white at that, and then I've got some red ones. Now, the red grapevines are over 80 years old. So
that'd produce a quality.
They're ones my grandfather planted.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
And they're called a flagler.
Okay.
Which is basically a berry flavoured grape. So it's not like big grapes, it's small grapes.
Yeah, but they're a tightly packed flavour.
Yeah, tightly packed flavours. A lot of people don't like them because the skins are very tarty. Because it's an old grape.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
So yeah, during lockdown, I also made cheese, all that sort of stuff, at the same time fixing people's computers. Because as the IT person, remember, you were exempt.
Yep. Yes, you were. Because, boy, there was a lot of IT. Yeah. So, talk to me about this. What's this Teams thing?
Yes.
How do we connect with our staff? How do staff take laptops home?
Well, it was more Zoom for them, not Teams, because Zoom was really the big thing.
Yeah,
so Teams has come in now, but it was all Zoom beforehand.
Zoom meetings. Oh, God. I as an off-topic, I recently found out that there was a thing that Zoom dates. Yeah, I know. I just heard of it.
Okay.
It would be... And it would be... I remember watching a YouTube short, and it was this lady talking about how she prefers Zoom dates to real dates, and she explains what a Zoom date was. It was someone that you would meet on a dating site or a dating app normally, and instead of meeting in person, you'd just Zoom each other. And I was like, cool. What does second base look like? There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor is lost for words.
I'm trying to think there. How do I pick this conversation back up again?
You can't. I drive it to the gutter. No, not all the time. But yeah, okay. So was it one of those things where it would be like you'd go around to a business or someone's house and you'd set up their computers and go, here's some cheese?
No, actually, no,
Okay,
I didn't do that. No, it was actually really frustrating because the amount of hype out there about COVID and everything like that. You know, I had to wear face masks, I had to wear gloves.
Yeah.
I had to go into people's houses, sterilize things in my hands afterwards, even though I was wearing gloves. It was, It was just what was expected from the IT person.
Absolutely.
That they had to basically almost do the same sort of criteria as what a doctor or a nurse was.
Yeah, or someone that does origin tracing of diseases.
Exactly, and it was sort of like that extreme. But you know, a lot of my clients at that stage were nurses, doctors, accountants, lawyers.
Yeah, okay.
So the people who had to work from home and they had to go to work and they had no one else to fix their stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what I was doing.
Yeah, that's tough times. Yeah, definitely very tough. I think the one thing that sort of surprised me, we've been doing this for nearly a year now, the one thing that surprised me out of a lot of conversations is how much people's mental health was affected during that time.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Mental health is still a major issue. Surprisingly more amongst males.
Yes.
Because they found as though they didn't know what to do.
No.
Because they didn't have... all of a sudden, they weren't allowed to work. And for a lot of males, that's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough. We'll put in the 1737 promo on this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have... usually in the middle of each podcast, we have a little promo that we put in there advertising a lot of organisations like... Corfi Trust, Rayburn House, Creative Northland, those sorts of things. We'll put the 1737 promo because I think that's a very important one.
Absolutely.
So, if anyone who's watching or listening to this and you find yourself needing to talk to someone, 1737 are a free service that you can call or text 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And well worth it.
Well worth it. And absolutely invaluable.
Yeah.
So... You are, as of
October last year.
A comfortable victory.
Yeah, let's put a comfortable victory, yes.
Yeah. You became His Worship the Mayor.
Right.
But you're still Vince the IT guy.
I am.
But the thing that has impressed me the most is you're still very much involved in the arts.
Well, I try to be, like as much as what I can be.
Yeah.
You know, so with the Bernina Fashion Show, I've handed that over to the Bernina people now, so they're running that. The photography stuff, that's done by the Rotary Club. So it's I will be there to help out, to sponsor, to do that sort of stuff, but it's generally everyone else is doing the running around now.
And I think it's a testament to sort of who you are as a person. That you continue to be involved in these artistic expressions that you set up or you helped nurture along the way. And I think that's very, very cool. Our former Mayor, Cheryl Mai, was very much involved in the arts as well. So when we had her on last year, it was actually really cool because everyone got to see a new side of her. And then, obviously, you yourself have come in as the current Mayor. But you're equally as involved as well.
Slight difference, but almost the same.
Yeah. Well, you guys approach the arts from different perspectives.
Absolutely.
But it's still very art-centric, which is very cool. Because, I mean, you know, we have found so much hidden talent in Te Tai Tokoro in general.
Absolutely.
It was stunning. Our very first podcast was with a beautiful lady by the name of Aki Fukuoka. And she was a graphic illustrator for a series of teen books called Billy B. Brown. It's Billy B. Brown, editor Rocky's nodding. And those books have sold over 5 million copies.
Oh, awesome.
And she lives in Whangarei.
Yeah.
And it was just like, what the hell? Where the hell have you come from? And she just sat there and she was cool. And we talked, and everyone we've met along the way, it's like, man, your story's amazing. And
you've got some serious talent in here in Northland.
We've got some brilliant talent. And the cool thing is we're getting a lot of talent coming from Auckland.
Yep.
Up here as well, where I'm desperately trying to secure.
I think they're trying to exit Auckland.
Can't say I blame them. Well, it used to be go down south, but let's face it, it's Hamilton. Now they all come up to the. You can't say winterless north this year. No, you can't.
Yeah, it's true.
You can say the overcast north. It's also applicable. So, I think on behalf of the Northland creative community, thank you very much for supporting us and continuing to support us.
More than happy to.
It's very cool. But is there anything coming up that you're sort of involved with that you'd like to share with our wonderful audience?
Look, I just encourage anyone, if they are looking at being involved in fashion.
Yep.
The Fashion Awards is coming up. If you're looking at being involved with music, get involved with Sistema or places like that. They're nurturing great musicians, absolutely amazing musicians.
Absolutely.
If you're interested in the arts side of things, I think the Plunge Festivals, they've just done their thing. They've
done their first one in April. They've got the next one in August up in Kirikiri.
So for those people who don't know, Plunge is about the graphic novels and that sort of side of things, which is awesome as well.
Yeah.
If you're into steampunk or if you're into, there's so much art out there in Whangarei.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know if have you interviewed Coco? I think she's one of musicians.
Maggie Coco?
Yes.
Oh, she's definitely been on. She's amazing.
Absolutely. Here's a talented person here in Whangarei.
Yeah. Originally from America.
Yep.
Made her way, toured here, came to New Zealand on an off chance from a New Zealand musician, Billy TK, toured New Zealand, found Whangarei. If anyone's watching or listening and you haven't checked out that podcast, I highly recommend it. How she came to live in Whangarei is a very interesting story in itself, involving her, a van, and illicit drugs. She didn't take any, but that's the story. So I highly recommend. We'll leave that part out, but it's a lot of fun.
But then on top of that, you've got other people like Maggie who does the digital stuff.
Now, she's got her incubator coming out.
That's right.
That's going to be held down at Whangarei Arts Museum.
That's right.
That opens, it's the
Very shortly.
22nd today. It'll open on the 27th, this Saturday, and then it's running for about a month, I think, give or take. But, she's someone that was an outsider. She spent a ton of time overseas. Yep. Super smart. She's got, 11 doctorates or something? I don't know.
Yeah, no, way over my head.
Way too many. She's got more letters after her name than the alphabet. But she is such a cool person because she will invite you into her space and say, cool, what do you got? Yeah, and she'll literally just give you all the tools you need. I can share it because by the time this comes out, it will have opened. Producer Andrew and I actually got a bit of a sneaky look into what they're doing this year last week. And we got to have a bit of a tour around the inside of the studios, and holy shit, some of those things are going to be amazing. I saw some stuff and I was like, I've just never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, no, but see, again, that's taking that technology to the next level.
Cheers.
And that's what I'm saying. There is talent in Whangarei. Now, Rayburn House, huge supporter of Rayburn House.
Same here.
They are an amazing group of artists down there.
Yep.
And whether you're doing ceramics or whether you're doing pottery or whether you're doing the actual paintings themselves, the artists that they showcase in Rayburn House is superb.
It's next level.
Yeah. So, we have talent here in Whangarei and Northland alone. So, I suppose the other ones which we could call artists, which would be our actors.
Oh, yeah. My goodness, we've got Sister Act coming up.
That's correct.
We've got there's another play that's being held on at the Octagon.
Yep.
That's coming up. I think we're interviewing the writer tomorrow night.
Excellent.
Which is great.
Yes, they did. The Octagon did Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard good things about it.
It's things I'd forgotten from the movie.
Oh, really?
Yes. I think I'd plastered them out of my memory on purpose.
Oh, see, it was so tough because I'd gone out to Roost that night for dinner, and I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to stay at Roost and watch Brendan Lovegrove
Oh, yes.
to his
Yes,
comedy,
yes.
or if I wanted to go to Shawshank. Now, Shawshank is my top 2 favourite films of all time. That and The Empire Strikes Back.
Why not?
I know. How could you? How could you not? And I chose to go to Shawshank. By the time I got there, the tickets had sold. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so it's destined not to be. But I did hear some very good reviews about it.
It was a brilliant, brilliant show. And again, that's just showing you the artistic talent. And I do call actors artists.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they fall into that category. They're brilliant. We've got some amazing talent in Whangarei. I don't know if you remember Goodbye Pork Pie.
Oh, the movie? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Not the remake, the actual good one.
The original one.
The good
yes.
one.
Yeah, the original one.
Yeah.
Well, the actor in town is actually one of the lawyers.
No.
The one who drove the Mini.
No, not Blondini. You're kidding me! Blondini!
As I'm saying, we have talent that
There's a lawyer!
we have
In Whangarei!
We have talent in Whangarei where people do not know. Honestly, we have got some amazing artists, and they are behind the scenes. They do a lot of stuff, and when you hear their stories or things like this, you can't help but wanting to support them. Now, you probably also know Lee. He's been on Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
Lee.
He's actually an ex-policeman.
Lee.
He's another guy. Don't worry, it's another actor. And
Not John Lee.
No,
it's not John
first
Lee.
name Lee.
First name Lee.
Look, honestly, we have got talent in Whangarei, and that's what people don't understand. It's amazing how much talent we actually have here.
I'm going to quickly throw to my wide camera here. Blondini and Lord of the Rings. I'm coming for you. But no, seriously, we will be reaching out. We would honestly love to have you on. It's just, wow, I did genuinely did not know that. That is amazing.
But we've got talent in this town. We really do.
We've got talent for spades.
Yep. And the artists are, they're all there. And a lot of them are very shy people. And that's why, again, what I try to do is I try to get behind them and actually promote them. Because
profile them, yeah.
These guys and girls and teams and whatever they're brilliant.
Yes.
And we need to promote this talent.
Yep, 100% we do. And one of the cool things about having people like yourself on and people like Tim Bell is that it's nice to get behind the scenes people as well, because it's not just the people that are in front of the camera, it's also people that are behind the scenes.
But the ones in front of the camera usually look better.
Well, sometimes. Not always. Some of them don't have a face for radio. They have a face for camera. But it's often a shyness as well.
Yeah.
If you're working behind the scenes, we would love to have you on. Say, for example, I don't know, if you're a set builder who got nominated for an award. Darren Hanson, I'm coming for you. I'm going to get you in that chair, buddy. But yeah, no, wow. Yeah, I forgot all about that, and I didn't know half of that stuff. That's amazing. Wow.
So yeah, I try to keep my finger on the pulse with a lot of these guys because they're really talented.
Yeah.
And I just, if anything I can do to try and help them out and try and get them going, that's just the thing.
Wow. Well, look, I tell you what, on behalf of the Northland Artists Conversation, thank you so much for coming in and sitting down with us. This has been... I never know where our podcasts are going to go. This was an absolute hoot, and I've had such a laugh. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Well, there you go, folks. That was that was my guest. That was Vince Cocurullo. That was his podcast. He's been gracious enough to sort of stick around. We're just trying this sort of off the cuff. Normally, this is sort of the part of the podcast where I sort of talk about some of the interesting things that I found out. I'm going to go to my camera. I've known Vince casually for 3 to 4 years now. Yeah. And it's been interesting to see, him go from being councillor to mayor whilst still always being involved in the creative sector in the background. The interesting thing for me that I found out of all of this was that your career seem to have a very linear progression, right? You're always interested in back-end things because civil engineering isn't a glamorous thing. IT technician ain't a glamorous thing. but that also kind of coincides with your overarching background, interest, and participation in the arts as well. From a guest's perspective, was there anything that you found that as we were sort of talking, that came up that you were like, oh shit, I actually forgot about that?
No, I can probably say no. I've had to reflect on a lot of these types of things in my life as I go, mainly because things change in your life.
Yeah.
So you're going, okay, that didn't work, right, so what do I change? It's always about, how do I make myself better? How do I improve the conversations I have? And actually, where am I growing?
Okay.
Because I love to grow as well.
So here's a good question then. Where are you growing at the moment? Not just veggies.
Veggies and fruit. No.
Veggies and fruit. And cheese and wine.
Isn't that a good Italian?
It's a great Italian lifestyle. I make my own pasta.
Look, probably the biggest thing for me growing is basically growing as a district. I actually love seeing Whangarei grow. Yeah. So it sounds silly for me to say that about myself, but it's more about I love seeing people actually excel in what they can capable of doing. So the more, sometimes people don't like me pushing them, but I do try to push people to try and get them to excel better, because I know they're capable of it. And I'll generally, I might come up with awkward conversations in council and awkward conversations and awkward topics, and people don't know where to go. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to push the boundaries. I'm trying to get them to actually think outside and think, okay, there are issues here.
Yep. What
are the issues?
One of
deal with those tough topics.
I think one of the things that, and I can say this as, not as Mark Kelly, the host of Northland Artist Conversation, as Mark Kelly, the voter, is that yourself and former podcast guest, Councillor Nicholas Connop, you guys are very approachable and you're very amiable and to a certain extent accessible.
Try to be.
And that's commendable, because what that does is, for myself who is in the arts community, is that gives transparency. And I think that's it's a very valuable thing nowadays.
Very much so.
So, anyway, you have to excuse me, Your Worship. There's one small part that I must do now. So, if you are interested in hearing our wonderful guest, Vince Cocurullo's podcast, where can you find us? Well, you can find us on, I've got to do producer Andrew proud here, for the visuals. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Northland Artists Conversation. For audio, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, all Northland Artists Conversation. And if you're an artist, or you know someone who is an artist, as in someone who used to be in the film Goodbye Pork Pie, or anything like that, and you think that they should be on our show, we would love to have you so very, very much. You can contact us by emailing hello@northlandartistconversation.co.nz. Nice and simple. Now, if you're a supporter, or even if you're new to the podcast, first off, welcome and thank you. If you wish to give a little bit more and keep this podcast going, we are the little podcast that could. You can donate by going to our Patreon page. Now, Patreon is where you can contribute a financial value. We have two tiers. The first tier is a cup of coffee, and that's $5 a month. What that does, that's your way of saying, hey, thanks, we love what you're doing, keep it going. And to be honest, $5 is cheap. It's a lot cheaper than Disney Plus at the moment. Very topical. And definitely Netflix. And you can actually share us with everyone else without having to pay extra. But the second tier that we have is Coffee Addict, and that's $20 a month. But what that does, it gives you a couple of extras. First off, it gives you a shout out at podcast, which is what I'll do soon. But you also get to ask any of our upcoming guests questions if you have them, so it's totally up to you. And as I said, that's the Coffee Addict, and that's $20 a month. So I'm going to give some shout outs now to our supporters. I'm going to shout out to Lauren Roach, who's been on the podcast. Lauren, thank you so much. You are an amazing woman. Michael Boter, the writer, the man, the myth, the legend.
Brilliant writer.
He's an amazing writer. We're going to get him back on because he's got an exciting project in the works, which I cannot wait to share with people. So, Michael Boter, thank you very much. And third and finally, the amazing and very, very talented and gifted Maggie Coco. So,
awesome.
Thank you very much, guys. We really appreciate it. You can go to Google, type in Patreon. That's Patreon. Top right-hand corner.
Help for those people who can't spell.
Yes, it is. Very, very useful. Type in Northland Artist Conversation. You'll see us there. Just click your tier and go from there. Or the easier way is to go www.patreon.com/Northland Artist Conversation, and you'll be fine from there. So we'll go back to our wides now. So yeah, this whole venture tonight for me was very informative in a lot of ways. It's nice to actually get to know you. It's very cool because there's only the small parts that I've seen, and a lot of people that will watch this will go, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. Like, I never in a million years would I have known that you helped drive the Bernina Fashion Awards here. I wouldn't have picked it, but it makes complete sense, right? It does. So,
especially when your mother was into fashion.
Exactly. And when you're into fashion too.
Yeah, well,
black is a fashion.
Not today, but
I should know. I wear the same shirt and shorts every podcast.
And I'm impressed that you're wearing shorts on a cold day like this.
Damn straight. They breed them hard in Gisborne. My name is Mark Kelly. I'm your host. This is still my guest, Vince Cocurullo. Thank you so much for watching the Northland Artist Conversation, and we'll see you guys real soon.